professional water ski jumper from just outside of Orlando, Florida.
What got you into the sport?
I actually grew up in a family of skiers. 2 older sisters, both my parents, we were all competitive skiers. We actually just had our U.S. Nationals in San Marcos, Texas, and all of us were qualified. Now, my mom chose not to ski this year, but both my parents are still actively competing, and so I just kind of grew up in it. I was very fortunate. I had an opportunity to grow up in a ski club, actually very similar to this, where I had other young kids that were my age that I could compete against, and when I got to where I could kind of maybe get to a level above them, then I had older kids that I could chase, and I've always had that next level ahead of me and just really good people around me.
You've been world champion for years. How have you kept at the top?
That's a good question. I love what I do. I love the challenge of trying to continually improve and always go a little bit further. It used to be older guys that I was chasing, and then it was my peers, and now there's a bunch of young guys that are, trying to take away all that I've worked for. So there's always a driving force, there's always a push, but at the end of the day, it's got to come from in here, and I still have that drive to see if I can go a little bit further.
What does it feel like when you're jumping?
For me, it is an adrenaline rush, and a lot of people ask, how do you get to where you're not afraid or you don't have any fear? And that's not the point. The point is handling it, dealing with the fear. Every time I put my bindings on and I go out and practice or tournaments, there's always an element of fear because there's, the cost reward is steep. And I think that's part of the attraction as well. There's really nothing else that I know of short of going and jumping out of airplanes or being a professional BMX guy, and that's not me. Getting those type of adrenaline rushes where you're always pushing yourself to go where you haven't been before. And I think that's why jumpers they're a special breed. There's a lot of slalom skiers out there. There's not a lot of jumpers, and it takes that ability to scare yourself and still come back from it.
What brings you to this event?
I've been here before, and it's a great facility and a great people. I've known the Hazelwoods now for 15, 20 years almost. It's one of my favorite tournaments to come to. We always know conditions are good, we're treated great, and there's an opportunity for some really big jumps here. These guys take the boat setup and the ramp and all the water conditions, they take it extremely serious. And we go to a lot of tournaments where we just kind of get shoved out on a big open river, and there's other boats, and the water conditions aren't very good, and it's a great show for 10, 20,000 people. This event's a little different. It's more of a kind of a VIP event to just see how far can we go. And with the pressure of the other guys standing on the dock, going out before you or right after you, I expect big things this weekend.
When will you stop jumping?
My whole career, I've always known and always said that you're always one jump away from being done. That's the reality of what we do. For me to walk away, it would have to. I don't know that it'll even necessarily be about winning and losing. It'll be when a point where I don't feel like I have any more to offer in terms of myself. Can I go further? I set the world record in 2008 at 247 feet, and it took about 5 years before I did it again this year. And I think in that time there were a lot of people that talked to me about being in the twilight of my career, that they didn't think that I had more in me, but I knew I did. I still feel like that. I still feel like I can go further. There's things I can do better. There's more we can do with equipment and that. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's 2 years or 10 years away. And then there's always the question of, once you stop doing it professionally, do you step back? And in the U.S. we have amateur events by age divisions, and do you step back to that level? And I've got 2 young sons now, and my oldest is 5, and he's kind of talking about maybe jumping someday. And so I don't know what the future holds. I try to think about it and prepare for it, but at the same time I try not to dwell on it.